Hey guys, welcome back to another AFL fantasy video. In today's one, I'll be going through the second episode of reviewing your teams. So if you haven't sent me a team already, make sure to send it to my Twitter or Instagram. The links will be in the description below. And if you're not interested in looking at other people's teams and you want to see what I've done, make sure to check out the video I posted a couple days ago, which is an update on my current team and my strategy behind that. With all that said, guys, let's get into the first team. First team here was sent in by Harry on Instagram. Let's get stuck into the defence. So first up, I can see you got the three premium structure down back, Laird, Lloyd and Witherden. Laird and Lloyd, I think they will be the two highest scoring defenders this year, so it's good to start them. But I would be looking elsewhere with Laird. I think he's priced at his max around I don't think he'll go above 105 again this year, because I think Adelaide coming out of defence, they're going to go a lot just like straight for the long option instead of the short chip kicks, and that's where Laird racks up his plus sixes. So I still do think Laird will find a way to rack up the possessions he does, because he's just a ball magnet, but I just do think he'll drop off a little bit. So that's why I've got Lloyd and a few other defenders above him at this stage. But that's okay. So you got Laird, Lloyd, and then Witherden, looking for a bit of value. I like Witherden, that pick there. Williams, he's a lock, 20 points underpriced. I've been saying it all preseason. He's pretty much one of the biggest must-haves. Then you've got Collins, who I like. There's been reports that he's training well. So Collins at D5. Then you got Burgess, Wigg, and Goddard. They're sort of the rookies that you see running down there at the moment. But I'm not sure if they're going to get a game yet. We'll have to wait till JLT. Get into the midfield. I could see you've gone without McRae, which is what I'm currently doing. I think he's probably, just like Laird, he's priced at pretty much the maximum I think he'll go for the next year. So I don't think he's not a must-have anyway. So Cripps there, you've got an M1. I think he's a good captaincy option, along with Grundy in the ruck. I think Cripps is a good captaincy option, and he's a good player to have there, who's even underpriced at what he is. I think he can lift it to around a 115 this year. So it's a good pick there. Then you got M2, Josh Kelly. Now he is I really like the pick of Josh Kelly. I'm not ballsy enough to do it myself, but I think he can take that number one midfield spot at GWS this year. The only thing I'm worried about, on a fantasy scoring point of view, that is, the only thing I'm worried about though is the tag. He's sort of trying to find a way to how he can break the tag, and he did it a couple times last year, but there's still always that concern when you pick Josh Kelly that he can cop a pretty heavy tag. So, but on the other side, he can give you like 150 plus scores. So that's a good one there. And then you've got Matt Crouch, which is pretty much the complete opposite of Josh Kelly. He's Mr. Consistent. You know what you're going to get with him every week, so that's a good M3 slot there. Then you got Merritt at M4. I like that. He's very underpriced, so that's a good pick there. Then you got Brad Crouch, also underpriced. So you're going with the Crouch brothers in the midfield. I like those two. Those two there. Then you got Miles. Now Miles moved from Richmond to Gold Coast this year. He's priced at an average of 60 odd, and I do think that he'll definitely push for 80 to 90. I think so. If Miles can get going, I think he's definitely going to be a pivotal player in the Gold Coast midfield this year. So if he gets up and running, he's a good one to have there. With the mid price in the midfield, I'm starting to think it's better off either starting with a rookie and a premium instead of Miles. So, for example, say you start with McRae instead of Miles. If McRae is starting to go bad in the first couple of rounds, in fantasy you have that many trades, you can easily just trade him to Miles or Hanbury or Liberatore, one of those mid prices. But the thing is, starting with someone like Miles is a really good option because you can get that first couple of weeks where not many people might have him. Yeah, anyway, I'm rambling on too much about that. The rookies you got there, you've got Walsh, Hind, Bewley and Constable. I think they're all pretty much locks at this stage, so that's good. You got Grundy as your R1. I think 90% of the people are doing that at this stage. So, out of the people that are actually trying. Anyway, so that's a good pick. Tim English. Starting to see a lot more of Tim English. I'm liking him myself. He's in my current team. I think with that plan that I've been talking about for so long now with the with the Mumford. So English fails after the first few rounds, you can always just downgrade him to Mumford. But anyway, I think he's underpriced and a very good value option for R2. Then you got Cameron and Fort on the bench there in the rucks. Now, in the midfield, you got Dangerfield, pretty much a must-have. Then you got Heaney. Now, Heaney, I don't know why. Now there's so much hype about him every year, but I never seem to pick him. This could be the year. There's been some articles floating around that he's going to be playing fully midfield, and this could be the year that he takes his average to 105 to 110. So I think he'll be a top 6 forward. So there's nothing. I haven't got anything against starting him. Billings at F3. Oh, Billings. He burnt me so bad last year. I started with him, and just like many people did. And I don't know, last few days, Billings has been the trend. Lots of people are starting to put him in, but personally, I can't trust him. But a few people are really keen on him. Then the rookies, you got Setterfield, Corbett, Parker, and then McAdam and Kavara. So the structure you've gone with in your team is, like most people, you've got the 2 rookies in the back line, 2 rookies in the midfield, and then 3 down forward. It's quite similar to the structure of my team, except I don't have the Laird in the back line. Sorry, I've got more underpriced premiums there. Overall, I really like your team. Pretty solid. 8 out of 10 I'll give it. So thanks, Harry, for sending in your team. And let's get into the next one. Next team here was sent in by Thomas on Instagram. Starting off in the defenders, we've got Lloyd at D1. I've talked about him so much. I think he'll be the top scoring defender, so he's a very good pick. Anyway, I can't be talking too much. These videos are going to drag on for half an hour long, so I've got to make it short and sharp. Whitfield, D2, I like it. I think he's a little bit underpriced, but not too much. He'll probably be a top 3 or 4 defender, so he's a good pick there. Witherden, D3, looking for value, possible top 6 defender, so it's good to have at D3. And then Williams, a D4, lots of people are running that, so that's good. And then you got Collins and Wigg as the 2 rookies on the field. Alright, midfield. You got McRae at M1. He's a very good captaincy option to have. I will say that, but just personally, I think I've already said it, but I just think he's priced at his max, and I don't think he's going to go up in value much. So I just can't be paying $890,000 for someone who could possibly drop off a little bit. And then M2, we've got Merritt, great pick there. M3, Adams. I'm tossing up between Adams and Redden as my sort of value pick there. But yeah, Adams, I'm not too concerned with the Pies midfield thing, but it is something to be worried about. So you've just got to watch throughout the JLT, see how they all form in that Collingwood midfield with your Adams, Treloar, Sidebottom, Pendlebury, Phillips, all those midfielders running through there. So if Adams does get a fair run, he is probably 20 points underpriced. So yeah, it's a good selection. Then you got Dusty at M4. I'm not convinced on Dusty as lots of people are. He's owned by 21% now, and it's rising every day. But people are saying that he's going to spend so much more time in the midfield with Lynch, but I just don't think he's going to. Last year, I think he'll be closer to what he did in 2017, this year. So some people are saying he's going to return straight back to his 2017 form, and averaging 110 as he did. But I think he'll be closer to the 90 he did last year. Libba and Miles is the 2 mid prices. I like Libba. I think he's going to be playing full-time midfield, just like Miles. So they're a bit, both of them could average between 80 and 100 points there. Then you got Walsh and Bewley as the rookies. Rucks, you got Grundy and then Sauce. So I like Sauce. He's very underpriced. I think he can lift his average back up to a 90 to 100 and be Mr. Consistent again at R2. So he's another good selection for R2. Forwards, you got Heaney, Dangerfield, and Wingard as the sort of primos. I've already talked about Heaney and Dangerfield. They're good picks. Wingard, there has been some speculation about his calf issues and the injuries he's been having throughout the preseason. So at the minute, I think he's sort of a watch and wait. I wouldn't be starting with him if he doesn't get any good midfield time throughout the JLT. I think he's just too much of a risk, but he is a big trap this year, and lots of people might be falling into it. Then you got Setterfield, Cobbett, and Kavara as the rookies there. Then you got Tucker, Goddard, Brownless, Constable, Cameron, Fort, Rouch, and Bedford as the rookies. Overall, this team, it's pretty solid. You've seen a structure, a real common structure throughout the teams that have been sent here. So you got just like the last team, 2 rookies in the back line, 2 rookies in the midfield, and then 3 rookies up the forward. I do like this team in the fact that it has gone for a bit more value in the back line. However, in the midfield, I think that the last team we saw with players like Matt Crouch and Josh Kelly, I think they will score significantly more than Adams and Dustin Martin, for example. And McRae, I think, will score similarly to them as Matt Crouch and Josh Kelly, who are 100k less. So, with that said, I think I'll have to give this team 7.5 out of 10. So, yeah, thanks, Thomas, for sending in your team. Next team was sent in by Bailey on Instagram. So let's start in the back line. D1, Lloyd, I think is a very good selection, as I've already said. And same with Witherden, D2. Brodie Smith, haven't seen him in as many teams lately, but I think he's another great value pick in the back line. There's so many of the mid-prices in the back line this year that we're just not sure who will be the ones to jump out and start scoring premium numbers. You've got Newman, Luke Ryan, Smith, Williams. I think 2 or 3 of them will be jumping out, and it's just a matter that we've got to try and pick the right ones. And you've got Williams there, and then Collins and Hoare as the rookies. Then you've got Cripper, Josh Kelly at M2, Crouch, and then Merritt. I really like those 4 premiums you have there. I think all 4 are underpriced, and all 4 could average between 110 and 120 and be really in the top 5 midfielders on average this year. And then you got at M5 Hanbury, M6 Libba. Now, with Hanbury, you've got to know that he he's priced at what he is because he is bad, and he was bad last year. Now, I know that he's averaged 110 in the past at the Swans, but last year he averaged what he's priced at, which is pretty terrible. Whereas Libba never averaged that low. He is priced that low because of injury. Now, having said that, Hanbury easily could go back to scoring 90 to 100 like he was at the Swans when he was in his prime. So it's just same as with the back line. There's so many value picks this year all around the ground where it's just the matter of picking the right ones, and that'll go a long way to having a good season in fantasy this year. Then you've got the rookies Hind and Walsh there. In the rucks, you got Grundy and Sauce, just like the last team. Already talked about that. And then Dangerfield, obviously, is a lock. Dunkley, I've got here. I really like him. I think he can possibly push for the be in the top 3-4s this year. So I think he's underpriced. And I think he'll average between 100 and 110 this year if he stays in that Dogs midfield, which I think he will. But if he does stay in there, I think he'll average close to what he did in the second half, which was something like 110 or something ridiculous. And the last, he had a crazy run home, and at that price, I don't think you can refuse him. Then you've got Heaney there. And then, F4, you've got Warple. Now, I really like Warple. I think he will benefit more from Tom Mitchell's injury than Chad Wingard for the midfield, because Wingard's more of a... he's got lots more tricks in his bag, and they can put him up forward and he can win a game off his own boot, whereas Warple is more of just a one-trick pony. He's a midfielder, and they're not going to really put him anywhere else than in the midfield. So I think Warple's the future of Hawthorn, and he's a really good pick. He's been in and out of my side the whole preseason, so I'm really liking that. And then you got Kavara and Parker as the 2 rookies. Now, this team, overall, sent in by Bailey, you've got the 2 rookies in the back line, 2 rookies in the midfield, just like everyone else, but you've got the 2 rookies in the forward line instead of the 3. Now, the reason you have that is because you've looked for more underpriced players like Smith, Hanbury, Libba, Warple, all those sort of players that you think are going to lift their average. So I really like this team. I think it'll do really well, and I'll give it a 9 out of 10. So thanks, Bailey, for sending in your team. Next team here was sent in by Brenton. So we'll start on the defenders. We got Lloyd, Witherden, and then Hearn as D3. Now, lots of people are going to see this team and see, oh, Hearn, oh, he's too old. He's not good enough. He's not a premium defender. He shouldn't be. He won't be a top 6 defender. But I think those people are all saying that are wrong. I think Hearn could sneak into the top 6 defenders, and priced at what he is, he's very good selection. I think he'll be very consistent, probably pushing his average to 100 this year due to the new kick-in rule. I think that'll severely benefit him because he has a massive booming kick on him, so they'll look to him for West Coast for him to take West Coast out of the back line. So I think he'll gain probably 5 to 10 points on that alone, and I think he'll going to have a really big role with the West Coast defence this year. So I like Hearn at D3. It's a bit of a point of difference, and not many people are doing it, so that's good. Then you've got D4 Williams. Now, I think just about every team I've seen today, Williams has been at the D4 position, so he's becoming a massive trend within the AFL fantasy community. Then you got Collins, Rosie, Goddard, and Wigg as the rookies. With Rosie, I haven't heard too much on him lately. I think if you're going to pay up for another as another rookie as well as Collins, I think Quaynor could possibly be that option. There's been tweets go out today that he's had a really good practice match yesterday with the Pies, and he could possibly have a round 1 debut. So I think he can score some good numbers there. Midfield, you've got Cripps and Oliver. So they're 2 young guns who I think, they're very, very, very promising future for both of those boys. And I think if we look fantasy in about 3 or 4 years' time, Cripps, Oliver, and as well as Kelly, you've got an M3. I think those 3 will be the top scoring players without a doubt over the next 5 years. Then at M4, you got Fife. Interesting one, Fife. Some people are really keen, some people aren't. Personally, I'm more leaning towards the not keen side. He's always been a great Supercoach player and just player in general, but he's never really been that AFL fantasy bull that he is in Supercoach. So I just don't see him averaging top 8 midfield numbers. So it's up to you, Brenton, but I wouldn't have Fife there. Then you got at M5, you got Brad Crouch and then Libba. Again, looking for a bit of value there. Then you got Walsh and Bewley on the field, and then Shipley and Constable on the bench. In the rucks, again, we've got Grundy and Jacobs. I've already talked about them, but I don't know why it's starting to become a big. People are starting to do that. I have noticed since that podcast that the traders did. Roy was talking up Sauce Jacobs, or they were all talking up Sauce Jacobs a lot, and I do like Sauce Jacobs as a selection. I just hoped it would be a bit more point of difference. But yeah, so lots of people are starting to jump on him. On the bench, Cameron and Fort, which is the combo that everyone's running with at the moment. Let's get into the forward line. You've got Danger, and then F1, then Wingard and Warple. Yeah, having the 2 of them, I don't mind it. On my first team, I had both of them in there. But yeah, Wingard, I'm going a bit off him lately. But I do like the Warple at F3 because there are a lot of rookies in the forward line. But yeah, I do like that forward structure. Anyway, let's get into your team overall. So I really like your midfield, how you've gone for the 3, Oliver, Cripps, and Kelly. Other way. However, I don't like the pick of Fife. Hearn's an interesting one. That could pay off, and it might not. But realistically, your team overall, I think, will do quite well. And I'll have to give it an 8 out of 10. So thanks, Brenton, for sending in your team. Next team here was sent in by Mitch. And he has messaged me and told me that there have been a couple changes. So I'll get to them when they come up. So let's start in the back line. You've got Laird and Lloyd. So you've gone with, just like the first team we saw, the 2 big dogs. I've already talked about my thoughts on Laird, but I do like Lloyd, and the structure you've gone with to have the 2 big dogs and then some value is okay. So I like how I've got Newman at D3. I'm really liking him at the moment. And then you've got Williams at Every single person today has had Williams, and then Clark and Wigg as the rookies. I haven't heard much on Clark, but yeah, that's one to watch. Mids, you've got McRae as your M1, so you've gone with that one player who you're you're counting on scoring you that captaincy scores every week. So I think that's good. And then you've got Crouch, Redden, Adams as the three sort of other premiums who you think are underpriced. You have said here though, you've gone Redden to Josh Kelly. That's a good move. I like Josh Kelly. So the reason with Redden, there has been some injury things with him lately, but he's still in my team at the moment. But yeah, there's been some injury concerns with Redden. So you've gone Redden up to Josh Kelly, you said. So you got Crouch, Kelly, and Adams underneath McRae. There is your sort of rookie, premium. Sorry, and then you said here you've gone Bailey Smith up to Miles. So you've got Hanbury and Miles as your mid prices, and then you got the two rookies in the midfield, Walsh and Hind. Rucks, you've got Grundy. I like that. English, I've already talked about him. I like that option as well. Let's get into the forwards. Danger, I think he'll be the number one forward. Big lock. Now, Buddy, I'm not sold on him at the moment, but you never know with him. He's one of those players where obviously he's going to come out there and either score 160 or have a stinker and get your 50 odd. But that you're going to expect that with him. I'm sure Mitch knows that. And I think he's just in for a big roller coaster. Then you've got Tom Lynch as... Oh, sorry, I'm just looking at what he sent me. You've got Tom Lynch at F3. I really like that. Tom Lynch, I think moving to Richmond, especially round one, if you can use him as that loophole option because you don't have Cripps there. And he might score 15 goals against my mighty Blues and score 200, and you'd take that as a loophole option. So I think he's a very good loophole option because Richmond will be playing lots of Thursday night games this year. So he's very good, and he's very underpriced as well, so you make money while you do that. Then you got Warple at F4, sorry. But you've said here you've gone Warple down to Rosie. So you've gone with the three rookies in the forward line. I like that, so that's good. So overall, Mitch, I like your team. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. So yeah, thanks, Mitch, for sending in your team. Lucky last, we got this team sent in by Jaden. Sorry if the last few teams I've reviewed have been quite short. I'm really concerned about the time. This video is dragging on for a while now, and I didn't really elaborate on them, so sorry about that. But let's get into this last team. So you got Laird and Lloyd as the two big defenders down there. Then you've got Williams at D3. The only concern with that back line is you're running quite low on rookie, so you got like a lot of rookies there. You got three, Collins, Scrimshaw, and Goddard on the field. I'm not really sure about that structure. Like, I prefer to have Williams at D4 because there's other rookies in other lines, such as the midfield and forward, who I'm more convinced on. So just be careful with that, and maybe reconsider a structure change in the back line there. Midfield, you've got McRae. I've talked about him. I like that. I just don't know if he's going to lift his average, so... but he is a good option still to have. Cornelio and Cripps as the two guys backing up McRae there. So you've gone pretty price heavy with your midfield premiums there. But I do think Cornelio and Cripps can push McRae for the number one spot as a midfielder this year. Then you got at M4, you've got Treloar. I'm not so sure about him. He is severely underpriced for what his potential is, but I don't know if he's going to reach his potential this year with the Pies midfield. We'll just have to wait and see how they go. As I've said with Adams earlier in the video, we're just going to have to wait and see how Treloar fits into the equation. Then you've got at M5, you've got Bad Crouch. I like having him at M5. It means you've got good depth of midfield premiums, which you've got there. So that's a good selection. Then you've got three rookies, Constable, Starcevic, and Bennell. I like those, having three rookies in the midfield. That's a good idea there. Rucks, you've got Grundy and English. Talked about that. Another good ruck setup. Then you've got in the forward line, you've got Danger, Devon, and Menegola. So your team, you're paying up for the big players, as I can see. So Dangerfield and Devon are the two highest scoring forwards last year, and they could possibly be the two highest scoring forwards again next year. But be careful on Devon. I have seen there's been stuff last few days about Devon got a knock to his bicep at training and had to get so he didn't train the rest of the day, and I think that he won't be doing any contact training for the next week or so. So just watch on Devon. But yeah, he's also a very good pick. So just watch him at this stage. And then you got Menegola at F4. I do like Menegola. Not many people are going with him, so it's a bit of a point of difference there. But then you got three guns and then three rookies there: Kavara, Coleman Jones, and Burgess. Then you got on the bench Quainer, so you're paying up for rookies on the bench as well. I'm not so sure about that. Quainer, Cumming, Bailey Smith, Setterfield, and you're paying up for a lot of rookies. If I were to say anything on this team, I'd say Quainer, Bailey Smith, and Setterfield. Just either have them on your field, and then downgrade to 170k players on your bench, so you can maximise the amount of points you get on your field. So, for example, you could then go a Brad Crouch up to a premium, or get another mid-pricer in your midfield there, because you're running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're running 9 rookies on your field, which is more than a lot of other teams. So just be careful about that. Anyway, so thanks for sending in your team, Jaden. Overall, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. So thanks for that. Alright guys, I know it's been another long one, but thanks so much for sticking around if you're still listening to me. And make sure you hit the like button down below, subscribe for more AFL Fantasy content, and also send me your teams for episode 3.